Des here from Cryptosetups. This DeFi tutorial is brought to you by Icon Plus. So today I'm going to show you and give you an overview of the OMM Open Money Markets protocol that is going to be launching on Icon soon. Just full disclosure here, I am using a version that's on testnet. It is not the final build. Things may break or not work properly. In my testing, nothing like that's happened, but just be wary. And everything is obviously on testnet, so simulated, so expect it to be a little bit different to the final version. So what I want to focus on today is I'm just going to walk through how this dApp works, from signing into the wallet, interacting with it, and talk through some scenarios. There is another function to it, which is the voting function, and I'll break that down a little bit in this video, but I'll look to talk to that separately. So let's jump right in. As you can see, I am on the landing page. I am not currently signed in to my wallet, so what you're looking at is just an overview of the protocol. So if this is the first time looking at anything like this, what is OMM? It is essentially a marketplace where you can supply assets that's listed on it and also borrow assets. So you can over collateralize in terms of supply a ton of ICX and borrow some US dollars or whatever assets are there. But the goal is, if you were borrowing, you need to supply some assets to the protocol. Now, coming in over here, what we can see is in the testnet and what will launch on mainnet, the markets that it supports is Icon, ICX, which is great. Bridge dollars, this is very exciting. As you know, what's unique about this is bridge dollars is essentially moving US dollars from a bank account onto the protocol on chain, and it turns into USDB. So this enables anyone to transfer money in and out of the crypto world from traditional fiat world, which is amazing. No words can describe it. There's other third parties on different blockchains, but this is integrated into our product, which is brilliant. Next thing over here we have is, you can see at the moment how much in total across the markets that's supplied to the protocol versus what's being borrowed on it. And remembering, the supplier gets some interest and the borrower has to pay interest, and all this would change based on how much money is floating on each side. So let's jump right in. I'm going to sign into my wallet. You can see the first step, it's got three options, bridge being something that you can use your email, and I'm not going to explore that. Ledger, if you wanted to use your Ledger, or IconX, so I'm going to just connect to my IconX wallet. Now I've got a couple of wallets. Yes, I'm looking very rich in this tutorial. It is on testnet, so I have funded my wallets really well. I'm going to pick this wallet that I've created here. Okay, great. Now the first thing you will see happen is it has included this your overview, your market. So by default, when I connect up, what it's showing me is any asset that OMM supports, it brings up as my market, and then all markets. So I just want to show this. It does this by default. So if you only had Icon, it would only show this Icon because that's what's in my wallet. I have ICX. Going to all markets, I can see these are all the markets it supports. Now in my wallet, I've done a bit of prep before I created this to give so that I could walk through some examples, but I've got all the assets it currently supports, so it displays it. And you can see over here, as soon as you've gone on your markets, it doesn't have any of this information. Why? This is aggregated based on what you do down here, versus when you look at the market, it's overall everything going on in the market, which is all across OMM. So let's go down to and have a look what's going on. So as you know, I've just signed in. I haven't taken out a loan with this protocol. What I can do is supply my assets to it to earn interest. So over here you can see if I supply my ICX, I would earn interest on it of 0.15. Now straight away you're probably thinking, oh my god, but if you stake ICX, yes. Now according to the white paper, when you deposit, it automatically stakes your ICX for you. So that aside, what it is telling you is that you would be earning on top 0.15% of just on the normal ICX. So leaving that where it is, Let's check some of this other stuff out. Bridge dollars. At the moment, if I were to supply, I am getting only 0.47 APY. However, if I were to borrow, I would have to pay this much interest. Now let's look at this one. Whew. If I supply, I can look to earn this much interest, and if I went to borrow, I would be paying this much interest. Now, why is there such differences? Remember, it's all supply and demand, so at the moment there isn't much available here, so in terms of the overall supply from the market overview point, so naturally the rates are ridiculously high. So this will always change in the market. Every day new things and different things will be happening. So let's just go in and start. Let's supply some. So I'm going to supply some ICX. At the moment you can see I have 2,000 available. There is no risk in supplying, apart from smart contract risk. There's no risk in terms of you getting liquidated or anything like that by supplying assets to the protocol. Okay, now if you were wanting to borrow something, you have to supply a particular asset to be able to borrow. You just can't come in, take out a loan, transfer the money, and then never look at that wallet again. It doesn't work that way. You have to supply collateral to borrow, because that's how you repay it. So over here I'm going to just slide this. I don't know why, I just always am hesitant to use the full amount of ICX, so I'll confirm. You can see over here, what is it telling me? That right away, if I'm supplying, I'm getting a daily interest of this amount, forgetting the staked ICX component for the moment. And as you know, the protocol has its own tokens, OMM, and based on this, again, this is testnet, so just using these figures, I would look to get rewarded per day this many OMM tokens to supply this much ICX as liquidity. So I'm going to confirm that everything's going to work like it does in mainnet. So I have to put my password in. Now if you give it a moment, something should appear over here. There we go, supplied. Excellent. So right away you can see a few things have changed. It's telling me again my summary where I've supplied this much worth. I've supplied this 1,684, which is worth $4,000. Obviously this would change based on the ICX price, and I'm getting this much, which is giving me performance per day at the moment of 837. So I've supplied Icon. Now what can I do with it? Now if you were just looking to mine the OMM token, you could come back and try and borrow, and this is cool. I'll just quickly show. I could borrow a bit of ICX, and you can see down here the interest. So I could make sure that I'm kind of breaking even, borrowing, getting a bit more of OMM, and confirm that. But that's if you're mining the system. A lot of people may not mine the token, not the system, the token. They may actually want to use it for different reasons, like here, capitalize on the high APY that's being awarded by the USDC coin. So let's look at some other options. Now over here I've supplied ICX. Now I have some bridge dollars here, but say because I've supplied, I can actually borrow USDB. So for example, if I wanted to get some money out to my bank account, what I could do is supply some, instead of selling it, supply some of my ICX here that automatically gets staked. I can then go and borrow on an interest rate a certain amount of USDB and then send it straight to my bank account, because that's how USDB works. USDB is minted when money comes across from the fiat bank accounts. So vice versa. That's an interesting and great use case. So for the sake of this, let's do that. Let's borrow. Now the next thing you'll notice is the risk. So again, you can't just go all out. Okay, so you have to over collateralize, like I mentioned before, and there is a risk ratio here. So one of the things in my earlier comments, if you're trying to mine the OMM token, please be cautious. Ensure that you are on a lower risk. Now, a lot of the risk parameters and where it liquidates your assets is noted in the white paper, so ensure you read through it. But you can see over here that it's telling you keep it below 50. Why? because remember, again, your loan amount is based on how much you've supplied. So at the moment, we've supplied 1,600 ICX, which is worth 4,000. However, ICX at the moment is trading at $2.50. Say it were to drop to $1.50, which it won't, but let's say it does. Your total supplied amount has dropped. Thereby, if you've taken a really high loan, all of a sudden your collateral is far lower than what you initially started, so your risk ratio would automatically start to climb. So you need to be careful here. Do not go crazy. Play it safe. Always play it safe. So in the interest of playing it safe, even though I'm on testnet, I'm going to confirm this, and I'm going to borrow some. Let's add this. Okay, as usual, it should be fairly quick. Great. Okay, so what have we got going on here? Now, let's look at the updated information. You can see, based on my overview, I've supplied this much. I have borrowed this much. I am paying, obviously I'm not earning enough interest. Again, in this example, I just want to show you what's possible. So, what can I do with this money that I have? As I told you, I could transfer it, or I could send it off to use it on a DEX and buy more ICX, whatever I choose. Last piece, let's look at this. So in this current example, imagine if I didn't have any icon USD. For the purposes of this tutorial, I have it here, but imagine if I didn't. I could have taken these bridge dollars and sent it off to a DEX, swapped it for ICX, sent it to Binance, traded Binance to USDC, and at the moment it's only on Ethereum. Used the Orbit bridge to transfer the IUSDC, because that's what IUSDC is, myself, and come back here and supply it and get these insane rates. So imagine the scenario I just painted. I have done. I've gone, transferred, and come back here, and for the purpose of this exercise, I just did it with $80. You wouldn't do this using the Orbit bridge, given the fees on Ethereum, etc., but I've done it here. So now let's supply this. I'm going to supply, I want all those sweet rewards, so I'll supply my $80. Yes, everything you do, you always have to do this. You could enable it in the other option, but I haven't done that for this tutorial. And there you go, I have supplied, and now you can see what's happened is I've supplied 80. Now if I had a lot more of this, I could have supplied like $500, $600, $700 and reaped those rewards, but right away you can see what's happened here is the interest rate has dropped. Why? Because I've put more money into the system, right? So it's adjusted accordingly. I've put in more money and there's less borrowing pressure on it, so it's adjusted accordingly. Now let's go back up here and let's take a look at what's happening. So you can see altogether it's giving me an aggregated view. I am getting 4,170. I've supplied that value. I am getting an interest rate of this much. I've borrowed this much, and I'm paying that. So had I transferred in my scenario a lot more USDC, which I probably would have, I would get a far better return on my investment. Okay, so you can see over here as well, it's got lovely figures. You can kind of, based on what you're doing, so you can see how much I would earn per month, and how much interest and the tokens I would earn, and you can see my risk ratio over here as a whole. And if I go to all your markets, so that's a very quick overview on how you can use the OMM protocol, how you can supply your assets, how you can borrow, and a quick example of trying to capitalize on opportunity that I saw in the market and the various things you can do with it. I hope I want to talk a lot more about this, and you know, the next component is the voting aspect. So as you earn the tokens, what you can do is you can stake your tokens and then allocate portion of the ICX that's in the pool, allocate the votes to go to certain PREPs. I'll cover that in a different tutorial, but the OMM tokens are so much more. They give you governance votes, so we can start things like adding new assets to the protocol, changes you want to make, all kinds of things, which is covered in the white paper as well, which we'll tackle separately. But at the start, this is how the protocol works, a quick overview, how you supply assets and borrow assets. You can see it aggregates all the information for you very clearly. I hope this tutorial has been insightful. If it has, or it hasn't, leave some comments, ask some questions, give me a like, subscribe. Really appreciate everyone and taking the time to watch this video. Thank you.